Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk ETC. I have a great guest with me today, Splix, also known as Igor Artamonov, the lead developer of ETCDEV. And I'm really glad to have him on the show. I've been wanting to have him for a long time. And we're going to talk about ETC past, present, and future as we approach the 2-year anniversary of the genesis of ETC. So welcome, Igor.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a long time we didn't have a chance to have a show.
Right. Yeah, I know you're busy with ETCDEV and doing lots of things.
Yeah.
We had chatted in Hong Kong at the first ETC summit, and we had some ideas then. But it's great to finally do a show with you and find out a little bit more about your version of the story, what you saw with ETC at the beginning and now, and your thoughts for the future. So before we continue, why don't I'm sure a lot of people know your story, but why don't you kind of give us your background? How did you got interested in technology and programming, where you went to school, anything you want to share?
That's a long story. I don't know how to start. So, I mean, I was always interested in technology since, I don't know, like a second or third grade. And in fifth grade in school, I got my first computer and tried to write some programs. And so, yeah, basically that's how it started.
Okay.
Then I went to university, got some degree in computer science. Basically, I'm a teacher of computer science. And then I was working in different companies. All the time I was interested in some distributed systems, working with data in distributed way, non-distributed ways, databases, and so on. So
okay. Now I have a question. Were you always like a star student and always, when you worked in companies, did you move up the ladder really quickly? And did people notice that you were an exceptional developer?
I don't know. I never thought about this. And also for past years, actually, before ETC, I was just doing some consulting stuff for different companies, international companies. So, that was mostly a few months projects. So setting up architecture.
Okay.
Initial, yeah.
Okay. Now, the reason I asked was I've had Elaine Wu, another ETCDEV member, about almost 2 years ago, and I've had other people, and Elaine and other people have said that you're a very good manager and you're an amazing developer. You're like a machine, how fast you could produce. So I remember 2 years ago, I was thinking, okay, I got to talk to Igor. Like, what is his secret?
I don't know. It's nice things. Yeah. And thank you, Elaine. And so I don't know. Just working on stuff, and it's
okay. So you didn't take management classes to.
Yeah, actually, I got some. I don't know how it's called. Like in Russia, we have sometimes like additional degree or something like so. It's it was management actually. But and I worked as a product and project manager in. So in Russia, we have a company, Russian Google, called Yandex. So that was my job before I started consulting.
Okay.
I was a manager at that company, and I learned a lot how to work in a company with very with best engineers and how to start process and so on. And also I learned a lot how to work in distributed teams, remote full remote companies after that, because that was my experience after. I was working. I was working different positions as engineer and sometimes as a manager.
So you don't the managerial skills, the skills that make a good team member aren't necessarily learned in the classroom, but if you have a job with
Yeah,
working with good,
it's all learned in practice. I had some special distributed teams. So I worked for many companies, as I said, sometimes for the short-term projects, sometimes more longer projects, like for a year or even more. But yeah, it was different environments, different structures of organization, different people. Good companies, good processes, good management processes, bad management processes. And so I learned from that. And so basically I tried to make it better than I saw before, learn from good things, and try to avoid common mistakes I saw before.
Right, good. Now I know my story was there was a lot of luck at the beginning of ETC, how I just stumbled upon doing what I do, and we were talking in Hong Kong, and you kind of told a little bit of the beginning, and I thought it was an interesting story how you got started and the funding issues. So I thought, why don't you tell the audience, because I thought that was an interesting story. Like, go back to the very beginning. So and also for people that don't know, this month is the 2-year anniversary of the beginning of Ethereum Classic. So this is a great time now to look back. So why don't you take us back to 2 years ago in July? What was going on with you?
In July, so the fork of ETH happened in July 20th. But I think I started to work on ETC like a week or two before that day. And so I had my own project before at that moment, did some consulting. So I decided, like, when it happened, when ETH decided to make the fork to save their money and so on and so on, I didn't agree, but I didn't know that there anyone else. I tried to find other people, and I think it is hard to communicate in ETH Reddit or other accounts, because you was just downvoted for all these comments about the fork. So then I believe it's Bitnossi who created a Reddit group. So I joined it. There was just few people initially. Then he created Slack for communication, for chat, and we just initially, I remember there was like 4, then like 7 people in first days in that Slack. It was all manual process to add new people. We didn't have any like automated way to join new people, to send invitation to Slack. So we started to discuss it. Other people joined. It was there is Gravity also. It was independent developer. She or he just started to work on Go Ethereum client and other projects independently from everyone. I mean, we didn't know each other. We didn't know anyone else is working on Ethereum Classic. We didn't have even a name for the project. So now we have two different organizations on GitHub. Because of that, we have Ethereum Classic and Ethereum project on GitHub, and we have many Twitter accounts and many places, because it was all started by different people. We even have different websites for Ethereum Classic when we get the name. Bitnossi organized the communication channels and news channels, and Gravity started to work on Go Ethereum client, and then we got some miners like epool.io. They decided to continue original chain. It was, they was basically losing money, same as developers. For example, as I said, I was working on some project before that moment, and I said, okay, I'm going to spend like 2 weeks of my own time and just continue original chain, do something they can do. I tried different things initially. And first project I started was actually Block Explorer. We didn't have Block Explorer for ETC, and it was critical.
Right.
To have a Block Explorer.
I remember I remember on Reddit, I remember the request went out for a Block Explorer, and a lot of people, said, "I'll help with that." I remember that, and I remember Gravity was making a lot of announcements. So that's how I remember it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started to work on Block Explorer and launched it. About the day of the fork, I think. Well, this is so that was great for ETC. I mean, it helped a lot because just at that moment, at the moment of the fork, we got working miners, ePool.io, we got a Block Explorer, we got accounts in GitHub, we got communication channels, and so different people from different parts of the world with different experience just join it and form the community. And a few days later, I think less than a week, Polonix just started to trade ETC, and they called it ETC. So basically, how we got the name. So we have different names initially. We discussed them, but I don't know. I don't think it was a final decision at that moment.
Okay.
So yeah, we have an Ethereum project, ETC.
So you're saying that the Polonix listing it's almost like it just so happened that if de facto they decided the name by choosing.
They not decided. They just took the name because we had a couple of names at that moment. So they chose one name. Yeah, that was the best name, I think. Anyway,
I like it.
Ethereum Classic. So yeah, they took the name ETC ticker and started trading.
Now, why did you? I remember I was passionate about Ethereum Classic because I didn't like the DAO fork. Why were you passionate? Why did you even begin to work on ETC instead of just sticking with the forked version?
So the only reason why we have blockchain is immutability, is transaction finality. That if something happens in blockchain, there is no a third party that can decide this transaction is valid, this transaction is invalid. And because it's extremely expensive way of making agreements on blockchain. Any other ways is less expensive. And if you have someone who can decide this, make these decisions, there is no reason of blockchain to exist.
Right.
So if that was violated already in ETH, I don't think there is a future of ETH. Yeah, they have a good marketing channel. They had a lot of money to promote it, but in long term, it can be successful because of these problems. That there is some party that decides.
Right. So it was the principles that attracted you to ETC. That was the same with me. That was what made me attracted and excited about it at first.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, initially it was just the right thing to do. There is, just support and show that this blockchain. What is blockchain for us, for some people that decided to continue this original chain, Ethereum Classic, and we continued our work, and a lot of people start to join us. There's many interesting things. People organize some events. There's events in London, in Zurich, in China. There's, I think, a couple of events initially. And it was, I mean, without any leader, just different people decide to spend their money and help ETC. That was really interesting. Nobody expected that. I didn't expect anything like that. I thought it will be I don't know, maybe a few other developers will work on part-time, on our free time. And nobody will, will try to help us.
Right.
And that no, it's opposite actually, and it's true that it can work without central party, without central person that decides how we should work.
Right.
Yeah, it's not optimal. It's much more slower than a centralized organization, but it still works.
Right.
And it works for 2 years now.
That's true. Now, you said that you initially were just doing it for fun for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But then you were able, of course, to continue. So tell me, so how did the support, how did the fun, how did that happen? And I know you said it was a struggle making the transition to working on it full time. So how did that happen?
Oh, yeah, that was a big struggle for me because initially, it was like I expected 2 weeks and I don't know. I thought I'll work sometime, like part-time weekends on ETC. But initially first 2 weeks and 3 weeks a month, I was working full-time. Initially, it was, I don't know, I didn't sleep for first days, especially after the fork, because a lot of issues. It was important to fix something always.
So there's a lot of emergencies. There's a lot of development emergencies to, Okay.
Yeah. Technical stuff. I was working on everything that required some technical expertise. And there's a lot of discussions, also important discussions. About Code's law, for example. I was that guy that was just asking, what do you mean by Code's law? Because I know a lot of people was talking Code's law. I didn't understand that.
Right.
And so I was arguing about this. Yeah, that was funny. I didn't speak English much, so it was for many people like some crazy guy from Russia, did some nobody understand what, and it was. But then, so it took 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months, and more, and I didn't know what to do because it was taking too much time, and I didn't have any money for myself. To pay my bills, and then 2 months, 3 months. There is some. I don't know. I think in 2 or 3 months, I got some, minor donations for web, for gas regular and so on, personal donations. But I didn't know what to do. But at some point, I don't know. I got some just personal sponsor who decided, okay, I'll give you some money just to continue to work, support you and then continue to work on ETC. It wasn't a huge amount. It was less than average salary of developer in States, but still, it was something.
Right. So that must have been that you must have been very happy. It's like I can do what I want, make a little bit of money doing what I like, and that must have been pretty nice when that started to happen.
Yeah, but I understood that I can't do that alone. It wouldn't be possible, and anyway, that would be. So the only way to continue ETC development was to find more people and to work on core projects. So I started to look for people who can work on ETC, and I said we didn't have much money to pay, so it was super hard to find people who was motivated to work on ETC.
That's right, because if you can't if you don't have a lot of funds to support you, then how are you going to be able to support other developers? So you were quite a fix there. Yes.
Yeah, but I was able to find people, my friends initially, ex-coworkers.
Okay.
So we got ETCDEV team formed.
And the donations kept coming in, and you were able to keep growing the team?
We don't have much donations in then actually, but it was just an ETC, so it's a surprise grew up, so it allowed me to hire more people.
Okay. Well, we're certainly grateful that that happened. That sometimes the best dreams don't survive because of financial problems. So it's a good thing, of course, right, that you were able to get the financial needs taken care of to continue it for now, right, almost 2 years. So
yeah.
Right. So you've been working on it for 2 years. Now, was there ever a point, was there ever any technical problems or issues that you thought, oh my goodness, this one might kill us, or this one is, I don't know if we're going to be able to solve this one?
Yeah, it's every day.
Okay.
We have so many issues. As you know, Ethereum, ETCDEV is problems with scale, and we need to fix that because without that, it will be unusable.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So you've shared a little bit about the past, and so now you talked about some issues in the present you're thinking about, like scalability. So why don't we switch to the present and the future? So what are you excited about now with the ETCDEV projects, and what are you working on, focusing on the most now?
So we got team. That's a good news. We formed the team now, focused on processes. Inside the team, and establish now strategy of products, product line, and what we can do. And yeah, main goal for us currently is to make Ethereum ETC scalable.
Okay.
And second one is to provide enough tools for developers.
Okay.
Then in very early stage of development of blockchain, and it's there's nothing for developers currently. I mean, it's just experimental stuff, but basically, and I don't know how you can run really production like enterprise. So I think customer. Using application for real customers. There's so many things that are not ready for real use. So libraries for developer. They need libraries, tools, and so on. So we are focusing on tools for developers and adding scalability to Ethereum ETC.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know people like and appreciate a Sputnik, right? The Emerald and all kinds of good Geth. A lot. I think that's even the major ETC client still, I believe, right? That's a well-respected client. So
yeah, we have Parity and Geth. There are many clients actually, so sometimes I monitor the network, and sometimes experimental project, I think. All of them, less than one person, I think.
All right. Now you said that you were thinking about scalability. So there's lots of discussion about the sharding and lightning networks and side chains. So what are your thoughts? What's in your opinion? How do you think that this is going to get improve the situation, the performance issue?
So I believe that in future it will be too expensive to use a mainnet for an application, and the difference between Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies itself, and the platform as Ethereum, that an application on Ethereum is going to have much more transaction. It will be required to have much more transaction for just to operate a business. It's not going to be just 1 to 2 transactions to transfer money. Thousands of transactions, just internal stuff, business-related operations. So it will be too expensive to use a mainnet for all of these operations.
Okay.
It will cost, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars per day. So I believe the blockchain should split into multiple side chains for a new one for every business, and only critical operations that should be finalized will be done on mainnet.
Okay, so the ones that need the high security, right, the immutability, those can be written to the mainnet.
Yeah, like some finalization of some state on side chain.
Right.
Just to make it secure and avoid any reversal of transaction of the state on the side chain.
Mm-hmm. So that makes sense. So you'd have different layers, and so the bottom layer would be the mainnet, and different applications could have different layers that they can select how much security is required, how much they want to trade for performance, right? And everybody can pick their properties, but still use the mainnet.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I believe there will be multiple layers, and on the bottom we will have a side chain just for your home, or maybe for your car.
Okay.
Or maybe for your computer.
Okay.
It's a blockchain, Ethereum blockchain. It allows you to build application without a single point of failure, without a central server.
Mm-hmm.
And every device, every node in that network can communicate to each other and make agreements. Not necessarily financial agreements, not necessarily something that requires security.
Right.
But just basic transactions. So by splitting multiple layers, we can make these small networks, complex networks of devices, independent devices that will communicate with each other and without having a central server. That currently a traditional architecture for all systems is having some central server.
Right.
And blockchain provides a different way. And sometimes it's useful, and sometimes it's not about money, not about transferring some assets.
Right.
But just simplifies a way how you make a network.
Mm-hmm. So yes, the blockchain's used for a lot more than just financial applications. That's certainly true. I like your idea. I'm attracted to the idea of different layers because it doesn't require dangerous experimentation with the mainnet, right? We don't want to always be making major changes down there because that risks breaking everything. So that seems like a logical way to try to solve this problem.
Yeah, right.
Right now,
it will be possible to run a new new EVM with new opcodes just on sidechain initially, test everything for a year or two even, and then upgrade my mainnet with these new features.
Right. Now also, if you ask anybody about scalability, the word that everybody always mentions is sharding. Do you have any thoughts on sharding?
I don't think it can work for blockchain. I mean, there is some attacks vectors that you can't you can protect blockchain from. So I don't know. I don't think it's feasible to make a sharding for blockchain.
Yeah. So
for blockchain.
Right. So for the people that don't know, so sharding is this idea of separating the blockchain into pieces. So it's almost like having multiple blockchains. But your idea of having side chains is it's a little bit similar, right? Because you're breaking, you have a lot, and so in that sense, it has that in common. The difficulty, of course, with actual sharding is the communication between the shards, doing that securely, and so. Yeah, so that's just
so different that when you have a side chain, it's isolated by nature, and if you need to make some cross communication, some cross transactions, you should introduce these channels intentionally and from the beginning and to make some contracts. And it's just a different way of communication that doesn't require you to, I mean, you'll need that from the beginning, that you'll have this transaction. But for sharding, it's split in the same network, just in different shards, and it's still a part of same blockchain.
Right.
And it's hard to predict which shards should communicate to each other. And I believe that eventually it will require you to have all shards anywhere in the same machine.
Right.
So with sidechains, you can choose which parts of the blockchain you want to have in your machine for work.
Right.
You'll probably need a main chain and a few side chains for your daily use. But definitely, it will be not required to have all of them, all side chains.
Absolutely, that's right. Yeah.
And yeah, there can be infinite amount of the side chains. For sharding, there's that's finite number of shards.
Right.
But it's hard to predict which one you will need to execute your next transaction.
Yes. So I get that. That's right. That makes sense to me. Now, also, so what do you think about the discussion about alternatives to proof of work? So I like proof of work because it's established, right? It has a history of being effective, but we don't necessarily know the attack vectors as well of other alternatives, right? Like proof of stake. So what do you think about that research?
Yeah, so I liked proof of stake, and I know we had a lot of discussion initially in the first months. Should we move to proof of stake or not? And so I listened, and I think we came to agreement that proof of work, so at this moment, is the most stable way of securing the network.
Right.
And we don't know how to secure a network in a proof of stake. So that's, yeah, I agree with that position, and I don't see any alternative to proof of work at this moment.
Right. See, so let me make a compliment to ETC. So my impression is ETC is very careful, right, about their design and what goes into the technology. They don't try to talk about putting crazy untested ideas into production and take these huge risks, right? I like it that they're very careful and intentional and conservative in how they do things. Would you agree with that? That's how they are?
Yeah, I agree with that. And at the moment that we discuss all these critical changes, so there's like no single person that will say, yeah, we move into proof of stake, and everyone just agrees with that person. So I was saying like, hey, we need to move to proof of stake in the first months. And some people supported me, some people disagree with that, and we had a lot of discussions. And we decided that, yeah, I was wrong. Proof of stake maybe is a good idea, but we don't have any proven secure proof of stake solution, and it's just too early, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any proven solution based on proof of stake for the next couple of years at least.
Right. So yeah, ETC doesn't just do something because it's new and it sounds exciting, right? It's kind of, they want to see the evidence that it's going to work first, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yes. Very good. All right. So as we come to the end of our show, you've shared some stories about the past and the present, and you've shared your thoughts on what you're working on for the future and with an ETCDEV. So is there anything else that I missed? Anything else you want to share before we close?
I don't know if you have any questions.
No, I think you've pretty much answered it. What are you gonna talk about at the ETC summit? What about that question? Are you excited about the summit?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to talk about roadmap probably, and yeah, we're going to discuss with the team soon. Yeah, we have plans for offline meeting with the team.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, some members of the team will be on ETC Summit in Korea, and I'm going to talk about roadmap for ETCDEV.
Okay. All right. Good. Now, I'm sorry. What Prognet? What's
Roadmap.
What's that?
Plans roadmap.
Oh, the roadmap. I'm sorry, I didn't get it first. Yes, you're going to talk about the future roadmap for ETCDEV for the next couple of years. Yes, that would be good.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So, all right. Well, thank you, Igor Splix, for taking your time to chat with me, and I wish you the best of luck at the ETC Summit and in your future development work.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, bye bye. Take care.
Bye.